Kaites to everybody. I greet you all in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members of Parliament, the people of South Africa and the international community. The United States administration's recent decision to suspend aid to South Africa, citing our sovereign stance on land reform and our legal challenge taking Israel to the ICJ where they were found guilty of genocide, is not just an economic decision. It is an act of political and economic coercion that threatens the lives and livelihoods of millions of South Africans and people around the world. Let us be clear, this is economic warfare and unethical medical blackmail, an attempt to strong-arm us into submission because we dare to stand for justice, for land reform, and for restoring the dignity of the oppressed. This is not about aid, it is about power, control by a minority of racist landowners and beneficiaries of colonialism and apartheid over our land and resources, and whether South Africa has the right to determine its own future without external influence. Yet, despite this provocation, let me make one thing abundantly clear. South Africa and the Umkhonto we Sizwe party and our party president Jacob Zuma are not America's enemy. Under President Zuma's presidency, America and South Africa enjoyed good, stable trade and diplomatic relations. We seek trade, partnership and mutual prosperity. We are not anti-West, we are not anti-white, nor do we have hostility towards Europe, China, Russia, the Middle East or Latin America, because this country and MK is non-aligned. And we will stay non-aligned and we will put the interests of South Africans first. We are a nation of Ubuntu, a people who believe in peace, in unity and justice. But our respect must be reciprocated. True partnership is built on equality, not threats. The US has historically been one of South Africa's key partners in health and development, sure, particularly through the President's emergency plan for AIDS relief and US aid programs. But now, with the stroke of a pen, millions of lives have been put at risk. Consider the consequences of this decision. Over 7 million South Africans live with HIV/AIDS, and PEPFAR has provided life-saving treatment to over 5.5 million, many of whom now face an uncertain future. Rural hospitals, clinics, and community healthcare programs rely on American assistance for vital resources like antiretroviral drugs and maternal healthcare services. Thousands of healthcare jobs, nurses, social workers, and outreach teams face immediate termination, collapsing entire health infrastructures. But this cannot be blamed on America. This must be blamed completely on the shoulders of South Africa. South Africa should not have to hire people and use American funding to pay our healthcare workers. We must take the land back and must take the resources back and utilize it to free our people and get more people to help our people. Who will suffer the most? Not politicians, not corporations, but the poorest of the poor, the sick, the landless, the voiceless, the very people South Africa is trying to uplift through its land reform agenda. Let us speak truth to power. This crisis is not happening in isolation. It is the direct result of treasonous elements within our borders, like AfriForum and Solidarity, and people like Rob Hersov, who are all spoiled, rich Nepo babies and beneficiaries of apartheid and colonialism, who have actively lobbied successfully to harm their own country, leading to the loss of life of South African citizens. This will not be tolerated, and it cannot go unpunished. These organizations and individuals lie to the West, portraying land reform as white genocide to the US Congress, pushing a false narrative to justify America's economic aggression. This is an act of treason. But let's deal in facts, not propaganda. White South Africans own 72% of all private farmland, despite only being 7% of the population. 87% of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is still controlled by the same corporate elites who thrived under apartheid and benefited from colonialism and land grabs without compensation to the indigenous people. More than 60% of South Africa's natural resources, mines, and industries remain under the control of the same colonial beneficiaries who now claim to be victims, and the rest are shared with political connected Nepo beneficiaries, not the average South African everyday people. And now these very racist Afrikaner and British descendants living amongst us as South Africans who have stolen our land, stolen our future, stolen our wealth, and put us in labor camps called townships and kept us there while they go around the world bad-mouthing us. They must be called to book. This is not just hypocrisy, it's a betrayal of the lived reality of all South Africans regardless of race. AfriForum and Solidarity represent a small, privileged, racist elite who are willing to see South Africans suffer and the country economy run into the ground just to maintain their grip on stolen land and economic power, and have maintained racial privileges by refusing to return land and under apartheid and under colonialism. Despite a peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy in 1994, which was meant to be the start of the land reform process, it was never ever done. Here in South Africa, we have yet to do land reform. These white racist apartheid people, beneficiaries, need to understand where we come from as South Africans. The irony is the vast majority who are hurt by President Trump's actions are the British and the Dutch who have come and settled here amongst us. They are the ones who own the businesses. They are the ones who do most of the trading and the exporting. They are the ones that take the raw minerals and send it out overseas. We are going to put a stop to that, and we're going to make sure our resources are used for our people. Thank you. South Africa is America's largest trading partner in Africa, with over 600 American companies operating in our economy. AGOA exports to the US generate billions of rands annually, but let's be honest, who benefits the most? The same corporate monopolies that have locked out black-owned and indigenous businesses from real economic participation. The same 7% elite that still dominates South African industries and financial markets. If America wants a future trade relationship with us as South Africa, it must be built on economic justice, fair investment, and empowerment of black and indigenous businesses, not just another tool to entrench white monopoly capital control. If AGOA is used as a weapon
Honourable
against
Douglas,
us...
could you please take your seat?
Thank you.
Honourable Member, please indicate which point you are rising on.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'm rising on a point of privilege. Can the Speaker take a question?
Honourable Douglas, are you prepared to take a question? He is not prepared to take a question. Honourable Douglas, please proceed.
Sit down. Relax.
Let me continue. If AGOA is used as a weapon against us, then South Africa has other options. We have BRICS, a growing economic power that does not operate through threats and intimidation. We have trade partners in China, Russia, India, the Middle East, and Africa, and the broader global South who understand what true economic partnership means. But we want to partner with America. There are many American brands in South Africa that we love. And we want you to be partnering with us, but not on your terms, on our terms as Africans, as our terms as Africans and as South Africans. We have our own resources, our own industries, and our own future to build, without dependence on any single foreign power. South Africa is the first African nation to assume the G20 presidency 2024 to 25, a critical moment in history. And next year, we will hand the presidency over to the United States. Yet, instead of engaging with us in good faith, the US has chosen economic coercion over cooperation. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has snubbed the G20 foreign ministers meeting in Johannesburg, opposing South Africa's focus on diversity, equity, and land reform. The US continues to undermine multilateral cooperation, creating a vacuum that other countries will inevitably fill. Let us be clear, if America isolates itself from us as South Africa and from the broader global South, it will lose its strategic foothold in Africa. As Umkhonto we stand with the global South. We demand fair trade agreements that uplift all people, not just the privileged elite. We demand climate reparations from the biggest polluters like the USA and China and others who have caused the most environmental destruction, but now put that on us as South Africans. We demand debt relief for developing nations, many of whom suffer under the weight of economic policies crafted by Western financial institutions. Despite this crisis, MK stands committed to diplomatic engagement with America. We call on the United States to immediately restore PEPFAR or to work on a phase-out process. We call for urgent negotiations on AGOA that will serve all South Africans, not just corporate elites here. We call on all America to respect South Africa's sovereignty on land reform, foreign policy, and economic self-determination. If the United States wants a strong economic and diplomatic relationship with South Africa, it must be built on respect, fairness, and genuine partnership, not threats, blackmail, or economic warfare. Mr. Chair, I think we in that stage, we people don't
Honourable
understand.
Douglas, just a minute. My apologies for interrupting you, but honourable members, please keep the volume down and also do not, I'm talking to all sides, but I am reacting to the fact that a member, honourable member, please switch off your microphone. I am busy with the member at the back. Please do not go to the point where you shout shut up to people. It is not parliamentary, so please proceed, Honourable Douglas.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honourable Member. What point are you rising on?
On rule number 91, you cannot allow the other side to be shouting at our speaker and you are not controlling them. Please, call them to order.
Honourable Member.
Which other side?
Honourable Minister, I have not recognized you. Honourable Members, please keep the volume down so that we can listen to the Speaker. And Honourable Douglas, could you please proceed with your speech?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. The first thing that I want to say is that this is about the land. And the people that have run there and pretending to be victims are actually the perpetrators. They're the ones that killed our people. They're the ones that killed the Khoi and the San people and African indigenous people. They're the ones that are guilty of ethnic cleansing here in South Africa. And they're running away claiming to be the victims. They have the land, they have the power, they have the money, they have the security, but they're claiming to be the victims. No, that is nonsense. You guys are the perpetrators. You are the oppressors here. And you are going to give us justice and you're going to give us our land back. And you're going to make sure that we see what you do with that land. That land is going to come back to us whether you like it or not, because it's Khoisan land, it's African indigenous land. The land must come back under the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, Mr. Chair. And I think that we are in the situation now that we are because people are not speaking the truth. We see you South Africans. We hear you South Africans. We hear the poor. We hear the people that have lost their land. It's time for justice in South Africa. It's time for righteousness in South Africa. Hulle maak hulle laat. Hulle gaan nooit ons land weer kry nie. Die land gaan terugkom na die Khoi en die San mense. Every African person is entitled to share the land and to share the resources of this land.
Honourable Douglas, your time has expired.